Do I say what I'm about to say on this podcast? Might as well. So, okay. So, Isla Dawn's ring gear, right?
Was that the one I was thinking about? Just a lot of ass.
Yeah, you and Uriel made that comment. I was like, you know what? You're
Uriel
absolutely
made
right.
the comment, not me.
Hang on, I gotta jump on Google and confirm what you're talking about.
So, like, because this whole entire match, Isla Dawn's gear, I was just like, you just see pale white booty cheeks. I was just like,
it's like, is this normal? That her ring gear, it's a lot of ass. I'm like,
no, that's normal for Isla Dawn.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
And I was just like, I was like, seeing it live versus watching it on NXT UK on NXT television, I'm like, okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we got new champions. Give me Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, and let Katana Chance and Kaden Carter go after the titles. I think those four will kill it.
Give them a better spot in a card, not like right after like two fantastic matches back to back.
Yeah. And then we had the main event for the NXT Championship, Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes.
I wasn't really, I like Carmelo Hayes now after that. His entrance was also sick.
It was, because his new thing is when he does these big pay-per-view matches, kind of like how the basketball, well, any sports, but mostly basketball, they have retired jerseys for the basketball players hanging up in the arena or whatever. That was part of Carmelo's entrance, which listed all the names of superstars he had beaten. And then, of course, we're in Los Angeles. He comes out in the Laker colors, so purple and yellow. And then Braun Breaker comes out with, through a doghouse, which was very interesting. I thought he was going to get the main roster. Yeah, there's that dog in them. I thought Braun was going to get main roster call up, but apparently not, because after this Tuesday, it seems that him and Carmelo are going to go for round 2.
Yeah, because like my prediction, I told Mikey was like, it's one of the few that I got wrong the entire time. Like, I'm surprised how many of these I got right. My prediction was he was going to, like, on the Raw after Mania, Theory was going to come out and do an open challenge, and Braun Breaker was going to come out and win it. But as we saw, that didn't happen.
We will get to Raw after Mania because, I mean, I had a great time because, like, we were just shooting the shit and hanging out. But yeah, I want my time, like Maxine Waters. I want my time, my money. Like, I want it all back.
Then there was night 1.
Yes, let's get into that. Carmelo beat Braun. The match did fumble a little bit between that because Carmelo missed his
springboard.
The springboard.
He went for a middle rope springboard and he slipped. Got caught in the ropes. Braun took it very well. He just grabbed him and had him reset the spot. So it went really smooth. Braun did a very good job of resetting it, but it looked like it slowed down Hayes a little bit. Like he seemed like he was a little nervous after that.
And then it picked back up, and then I was like, this is actually pretty decent. So Stand to Deliver kicked ass. So let's get into what happened a couple hours later, night 1 of WrestleMania.
Shout out to the Gobbledygooker, because we went to the Superstore, and Mattel had toy displays out, and one of them was the Gobbledygooker, and I had to take a picture of that.
Dude, I think that was a lot of fun. I mean, there was a lot of stuff there you could buy.
Yeah,
but
we saw the original $1 Million Championship. Miss Elizabeth's shirt, the one that the blue star one that she wore on top of Macho when she was riding on Macho's shoulders.
We saw the mousetrap from Sammy versus
the
mousetrap from Sammy versus Johnny Knoxville.
The biggest thing that was there was one of Eddie's lowriders and his boots.
I almost cried. I was like, because we'll talk about Eddie Guerrero.
They had nothing in my size until we get to the line to leave. Then I happened to find a Cody Rhodes shirt that was my size, just like laying there. I was like, that's fucking perfect. All right, I'll buy this.
I was tempted to text you and be like, "Hey, can you get me a thing?" But I just imagine it being
it wasn't too bad.
Try and get anything.
It wasn't too bad.
The lines were long to get in and to check out, but they were efficient. They were moving quickly.
Well, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And the entire time we were waiting to get inside, me and Uriel kept yelling, yeah, and woo. And we got people joining us, so.
I kid you not. Like Uriel and Minnie here, like they hit it off so well. I was like the third wheel, and I was totally okay with it because I was like, it's one of those things for me personally. I never know how like my friends from different circles are going to interact with each other.
Hold on,
because
you gave me a thing.
Oh no, go get it while I talk about this. So for me personally, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be an awkward weekend if they don't gel. I was completely wrong in that assumption because they fucking like hit it off very, very well. Oh yes,
Nice.
Good time.
What?
He gave me this, and on the way to the arena to LA, you know how that traffic is. I kept staring at people in the car. So we would pull up and we'd stop, and I'd just stare at them through the window with the mask on.
That's
It was
perfect.
great. So yeah, I sent the video to my dad of me wearing the match. I just go, it's lucha time, and my dad responds, goes, please don't tell anybody your last name.
yeah. It was such a good time, and I'm so happy they hit it off because we were riding a high from Stand and Deliver because they were like, yo, that was cool. I was like freaking out. I was like, because of how excited it was. And that momentum continued when we ended up going to SoFi later for night one of WrestleMania.
That
It
must
was
be
until I saw the
transition.
Omos banner, and I got very disappointed.
That was the first thing that you... So,
I saw
okay.
an Omos banner. I
what?
was walking over, and there's a banner just for the wrestlers, and there's a big thing of Omos, and I went, Omos. Goddamn Vince's dick.
And that was verbatim.
I like it.
I like it.
I don't know if you. We can talk about this when we talk about Brock and Omos. But did Omos have
What-
fans?
Oh my
was it?
gosh.
Were people cheering for Omos?
I don't know.
Now, there were a few that I saw because the Omos's fans are called the Homo sapiens. I
I
was like,
will
oh my
admit,
God.
seeing it, we were up. Yeah,
I kid
it's
you not. That is
ridiculous.
what the
serious?
fan base for Omos is called, the Homo sapiens.
I will admit, we were really high up, so it was kind of like the entrance ramp. But seeing Omos walk down in person, he's really big. The motherfucker is so slow. The Undertaker walks faster than him.
It was a thing, but we'll get into it for night two. But holy shit, you guys. I know like it was crazy big for those of you that are watching at home, but being there in person, that arena's fucking huge.
It's huge.
The SoFi Stadium is
80,000 people night one.
80,000 people night one, something like that. But
It ended up being like 80. The
It was-
first night was like 85,000. The second night was 86,000 because the grand total was 100.
night two was definitely more packed than night one, but yeah. But man, all right. So now that the fanboys talked about Stand and Deliver, it's about time we gave our other co-hosts to join into this conversation because while me and Minnie were watching WrestleMania in person, the rest of our co-hosts were watching from home and joined us in the text thread that we were having. So, all right, boys. Yes.
So I have a question. I'll start with this because this is one thing that has been bugging me. Booker T's okay, right? Booker T's not like Booker T's okay. I at least say that because Booker T just says
Booker T
weird
took a
shit
random
out loud
shot during the
now.
NXT event. Somebody threw a person at him.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, during the
person?
Grayson Waller Johnny Gargano match, I think Gargano got thrown and it hit
Into
Booker T.
T.
Into Booker T. He like hit the ground.
Wow.
But it's also Booker. It's also Booker T. The dude
We're just
dropped
making sure that
the N word live on television when he was in WCW. He was always going to say something weird.
and Booker T's a wild man, and I know why Booker's there to to stir it up at the beginning. I didn't watch any of the pre-show stuff because pre-show things tend to drive me crazy anyway. But Booker T forgot the name of Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Called Cody Corey. And every time those folks around him were trying to like set up softballs for Booker T to say something, he would start laughing and then look away. So in my head, I
He
was like,
definitely
either
took an
you're
edible.
old or you're
Tupac
hot.
was there.
Both
He
of which are
followed.
okay. Yes, but that's my take was sort of like, oh, he took that edible 45 minutes too early. Like he was just digesting right at the, you were so, not to rag on Booker T, and Booker T's a legend, and I love Booker T to death, but there was some
Snoop
stuff
Dogg
he was
was
saying, I
there.
was like,
He was-
oh, Booker, come on.
Yeah, sounded about it.
Night two was a little better, but that first night was
I
like,
love
"Oh, are you
Snoop
even
Dogg,
here,
like-
buddy? What happened?"
I mean, granted, night 2 segment was trash, anyways. But the fact that, yeah, we'll
We'll
wait
get
to
there.
get there. But I give
think it's
kudos.
a cover-
I
I
give
think it's a
kudos to
cover-up.
Snoop
We'll
Dogg.
get
He's
there.
like, fuck this. We're gonna just improv it. We're gonna go through it. It's like, you go, Snoop. Hopefully, your cousin main events the Tokyo Dome, so we can see you on Japanese wrestling television. Which, by the way, that triple threat yesterday for the IWGP
God.
Women's
So
match.
good.
And the fact that now Mercedes Moné is going to be facing Mayu Iwatani of all people. I'm just waiting for her to keep clearing house, and then eventually Mercedes versus Julia. Give it to me now. Sorry.
So, is it okay that John Cena lost in front of a
Well,
bunch of
so
special needs
technically he
kids? Is
won
that
but
okay?
lost. It did make John Cena still look strong because he made him tap out. But Austin Theory being the slimy little boy Austin Theory is.
He did the nut
He
shot.
also didn't care.
Yeah.
I felt awful because I was a paraeducator for a year and a half. I worked with special needs kids and autistic and mild moderate behavior. I did that right, and they love wrestling. And I used to talk wrestling back in 2007, 8. I don't know when I had that job, long time ago about it. And they loved John Cena. And and I was like, no,
So
you can't
here's
lose in
my
front of
take.
them. No.
I was not upset that John Cena lost because, in my opinion, Austin Theory needed to win. What should have happened is instead of a dirty
totally
win,
agree.
like doing the low blow and the nut shot, I think it would have been more of a statement if Austin beat John Cena clean. I think that would have gave him like the star power that people want to see with him. And he's like, yo, he beat John Cena clean. Oh, this kid is the real deal.
That's all
Yeah,
for KO.
Yeah, but then one of the questions that I have is how much time did Cena have to actually get back into ring shape? Because he finished he wrapped shooting on that one Kevin Hart sequel. He was shooting Fast 10.
And
What
Peacemaker
else?
2.
Yep, Peacemaker 2 is going on. And there was another movie I saw that he's in. So like he's been really busy. So what time has he had to actually get into ring shape?
But he had a match less than like a month and a half ago, though. So he had a match
totally
for
agree.
a year. So he's kind of in ring shape, anyways.
Right. Just as a quick side note, though, John Cena is also part of the cast for the Barbie movie by Greta. I'm
Greta
just
Gerwig?
like Greta Gerwig.
John Cena's in that movie.
Yes. Have you seen the
I'm
cast
glad
for that
you say
movie?
that.
By the way, it has no right to be that stacked, but I'm excited.
How do you not cast Cody as Ken or a version of Ken in a Barbie movie? I digress. But jumping off of what Adolfo said, I agree. And I also think part of it is he's booked up the next 2 or 3 years for movies. He can't get hurt.
Yeah, the insurance and stuff.
He's sort of in
Yeah,
that strange insurance.
Yep.
All these, I'm not going to lose $50 million. I'm not going to do a Canadian destroyer onto a table and risk my thing. So I wonder how many risks John Cena was
I
even
don't
allowed
know,
to
but
take.
seeing him
to
come
go to
out live
WrestleMania
in
to put him
person for the
over.
first time since this is like my first this is my first in live. So yeah, fans, this is my first time going to a live event. I've been watching wrestling my entire life. Seeing John Cena come out in person was awesome. It was really cool. It sucked that he lost.
Good.
But it was a good way to start the night one.
And I think, honestly, of night one, that was probably the stinker of the whole entire night, because then, in my opinion, it got progressively better. Because the next match had no right to be that good, but it did. The men's showcase for the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match.
It's always going to be good. If you have a match with Ricochet in it, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Right, because you had Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits.
There was only one thing wrong with that entire match, and it was the fact that Omos did not hit the worm.
Oh, you mean Otis?
Oh, yeah, Otis.
If Omos hit the worm, that'd be
I'm sorry.
hysterical.
Otis.
Call that what, sandworm or something like that? The giant
I'm
doomed worm?
I'm so
Sandworm.
We got
Omos is doing the
one half of the
sandworm.
things that
Must
Otis
blow.
does. Rips the shirt,
Yeah.
does the gyrations, but I wanted the worm.
He didn't do the
Oh, but
worm. That's
he couldn't have done it. He had so much ass sweat.
Oh my gosh, bro! Like watching
We
that, I was like,
talked about for like 10
So
minutes.
much
Where I was
butt sweat.
asked what that man had.
Shrek living in there.
I mean,
but
if you're gonna, I don't know if Otis knew. If Otis knew, I think Otis would have used it or found a reason to do something disgusting.
I
with
will
it,
say
'cause
one of
that's
the
kind of a
funniest
gift
things
from
that
the
we
gods.
saw though was at Stand and
Ow.
Deliver when they were doing a promo for Mania, and they had Otis do the Hannibal Lecter
oh my gosh,
tongue thing. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
just watching Otis go be like,
I did not see
Look it up, and it's hilarious.
I
It's
missed
so-
that one.
it was so good.
They
But
were just doing a bunch of like takes of like iconic
Movies.
movie moments, and
Yeah,
Otis.
I saw some of them. I just didn't see the Otis one.
Oh, it's awesome.
I saw Seth and
no,
the Joker.
because these were two
There
separate.
was,
So these were
they
two
did-
separate
what was that,
things. Some of the
Goodfellas
superstars
with
did
Trump?
like parodies of movies, and then a bunch of other superstars were just reading iconic lines from movies. So Otis was Silence of the Lambs, and he just did that.
Oh,
It was so funny.
that's fantastic.
But another
By
thing,
the way-
seeing Braun Strowman like that man is huge.
Oh my gosh, bro! That man is big.
Like, he did an interview. And they're asking him, "What are you eating and doing to get ready for Mania?" And he said, like, his total food and water intake a day is like 32 pounds
Of food,
Jesus.
yeah, and water.
of food and water.
He's not counting calories. He's counting pounds. I saw the
32
same
pounds
video.
of
And I
food
was
and
like,
water.
"Are you fucking kidding?"
As
me?
a side note,
Like, has it all down to like 8 pounds of protein for breakfast, and then I have X amount of
And he drinks,
protein,
like,
and there is like,
Four-
oh my
three
god.
to like that's like 4 to 5 gallons of water.
Yeah,
not ounces, gallons.
gallons.
That man is
As
massive.
a side note, Simon Miller didn't answer my tweets.
He asked him, "Hey, Simon, where are you sitting?"
We can talk about Simon Miller at the end because
I
I
think he
think
won.
Simon Miller might be the
He is
true
the winner.
of all of WrestleMania.
Did he win Wrestlemania?
We talk? Can we? I don't want
He
to
also
rant.
had a match against
Wait, what?
Brian Zane at like what was it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
He had
that's
a
right.
match, which I can't find
don't even know if he won.
footage of. He had a match with Zayn
Wrestling
from,
with
what
Regret.
is that? Wrestling with
Which I
Regret.
also love.
Wrestling with Regret. And he had a match. If you watch the first 9 ups and downs, he interrupts Simon, and it's friggin' brilliant. I guess
the
they had a
synagogue.
match at a temple, a synagogue, at some Mitzvah Mania thing, and there's no footage of it, but apparently it happened, and there's folks talking about like it was so funny. Oh my god! Like,
Simon
what?
Miller is
Just
a treasure.
Simon-
he's a treasure. I love him.
Seen Montez Ford nail the frog splash in person.
Bro, in
He's
person.
so high.
Yes.
Oh, Simon
So,
Miller
can
lost
we
to
talk about-
WrestleMania.
I loved that.
He lost.
He lost him.
WrestleMania.
Well, of course, yeah. He had to put.
It would be
He
kind
had to
of
put him over. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know where we are. Where are we in the list?
We're
Are we
on
only,
the-
have we only talked about
I
one
was
thing?
just
Men's
mentioning
show.
Montez Ford's
Frog splash
frog
in
splash
person.
in person.
Also,
Okay, thank you.
Angelo
Yeah,
Dawkins
okay.
just full on
Got it.
like shoulder checking Braun Strowman was a sight to behold.
We heard that.
And we
We
heard
heard
it
the
too.
impact.
I was like, yo.
So that ridiculous
That was
Tower
so
of Death
cool.
thing they
That
pulled
was
off
dope.
Beautiful.
was. I don't have a watching things on TV. I don't normally like. It doesn't necessarily take my breath away. I could like be really intent on it.
Yeah,
Like I almost spilled my drink. Like I went to take a drink and I'm pouring it on myself. Like what are they doing? Like totally out of a ridiculous movie. That was ridiculous.
I was so
I
happy
was
that-
all in after that.
How do you
point.
update the Tower of Death spot because it's gotten stale.
I
Apparently,
well,
and
so
I didn't.
really
yeah,
quick.
go
I
ahead.
just
Adolfo,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
say that my wife Alice joined me, and WrestleMania Night 1 was the first wrestling anything she's ever seen. So the first
Oh,
the
my.
first match, she was like meh about, but the fatal 4-way, and when they did the tower, she like her face. I looked over and saw her face, and she normally doesn't give emotional reactions to things, right? And she gave an emotional reaction to watching him set up and watch him do that move. And it was a fantastic move. It was a crazy move, and it was stupendous. That was definitely a good match. That was a good match.
Yeah, I normally just get side eye from my wife, so I'm glad yours was all in.
But I'm telling you, this is the power that
great.
WrestleMania always has, because even it attracts like the people who don't even watch wrestling. So like, as a side tangent, real quick, like while we were away, and it was Sunday morning, so while we were chilling before we left, my mom texted me in the morning. She's like, "Yo, I saw the pictures you posted on the Instagram. Night one looked great," and I was just like. She asked me, she's like, "Is that the night where Dominic and Ray fought?" I was like, "Yes." Right. We'll get into that in a little bit. But she watched all of night one, and she's not even a wrestling fan like that. But she watched, like, I thought, okay, she's just going to watch Ray and Dominic. That's fine. No, she watched all the matches of night one, from Austin versus John Cena all the way to the end of the tag team match for Kevin and Sammy and the Usos. Like, that shit, to me, that shit's crazy, because she don't watch wrestling like that, but she's like, "Yo, night one was really good." I was like, "I agree," because then we'll talk about night two in like a little bit, but we're gonna hold off
the
on
part
that.
of night one where they had to like get the thing in between, the tag team match and the one before that, where they just had that, both the Miz match and everything else. It just didn't need to be there. It's like everyone's like, "Get to the goddamn main event, come on."
We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that Fatal 4-Way tag team match with the men's was amazing. Seeing Ricochet shooting star press live was beautiful.
He's crazy as hell, doing that off the thing. Like
Ivar jumping off the rope was something I didn't expect, but it was amazing as well.
Agile as fuck. Like,
Yeah. Big man's got moves.
Yeah.
This is a sidebar. Did anyone see the Ricochet Ivar match?
Yeah.
Like,
just the other day?
Yeah.
this on SmackDown this Friday, it was beautiful.
What? I'm gonna say this. This was just my impression. It's just like two kids in a Halloween store, just tearing it up in the back with nobody watching. Like, where are your parents? And then just doing ridiculous things. "I'm gonna pick you up. Oh, you're too heavy. No, you do me. No, you go." That's the whole, just the sense of play those two have. Just yelling Viking Raiders, and that inside he's kind of laughing as he says it. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't know. I digress. But ridiculous. I love that match.
So good.
And then, in my personal opinion, that momentum continued, because then we had Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins, which, by the way, Seth Rollins wins best dressed of night one.
Oh, of course.
That fucking
All the
outfit
time.
was everything.
The Bret Hart Jeff Jarrett top. I mean, seriously.
Oh my gosh. Having to explain that to Uriel was fucking hilarious.
Uriel was so confused. He was
man.
like, "What?"
I wish
Yeah. But that entrance for Seth, though, mwah,
That was good.
that was, oh my gosh. I was like, that conductor is getting his life.
That's something.
Yes.
Was that a real
it
conductor?
was. And I can verify that, because Alice, who has a master's in music, when she watched the match, she sat there and she's like, "He's really fucking conducting. That's a real fucking conductor. He's getting paid to conduct."
That was one of the funniest things.
That's amazing.
The conductor was like getting his life. He like, because when they hire you to do these entrances, they're like, "Okay, I'm here for a paycheck." No, this man's was into it. And exactly.
Well, think of the opportunity to be a conductor and to have to conduct 80,000 people.
So,
I mean,
then Logan Paul
cool
being the heel that he is, coming in on a zip line.
That's where the first joke we're not allowed to repeat came out.
So,
Mm.
we were all texting each other, who's in the suit.
Oh my gosh.
Who's in the suit?
John
Who's the
called it
mascot? Who's
so
in the suit?
badly. Like in his predictions, it's like KSI is going to pop out, and then lo and behold.
It's got to be. What's great is I called it at the same time. Somebody totally different than y'all sent me that text. I sent it to you, and then they sent it to me, and I went, "Let's go. Here we go. That's got to be it." And then sure as shit.
He called. That was awesome. And then I called the table spot the other day. I'm like, KSI's going to the table.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, John, you were Nostradamus most of WrestleMania. You called
That was
pretty much
insane.
all different
I
things.
was this man's is.
So I was a true Nostradamus because my night 1, I got a 90%. My night 2, 10%. But I called Shane McMahon.
That was a crazy. It's like,
So 100 years from now, when they're deciphering my prophecies, they're going to go, well, half of this is bullshit, but half of this works. But the proof is in Shane McMahon. We know he was a fortune teller.
Or he knows something else. He's doing some dirty behind the scenes trading by knowing people behind the scenes are giving him a lot of information.
I know, man. Seriously.
Who are your sources?
If I was that cool, shoot. I would. Oh, I can't say it out loud. My wife will hear me. But yeah, no. If I was that cool, no.
It's for your well-being, you should probably not say it.
I was like, I had that kind of power. Hi, honey. No. It still bothers me how good Logan Paul is. Like,
fucking hate his personality, but gosh dang it,
I say, as someone who hated him on Vine, I'll go all the way back to Vine. I have not told this story anywhere, and maybe this is for another episode if we just want to do an After Dark. I got thrown out by Cameron Dallas and Austin Carter's security in Chicago because I was trolling them live on Vine back when you shouldn't have been doing that to MagCon. I got chased by a lot of angry moms and teenagers, but I also was making fun of Logan Paul a lot at the time, those Paul brothers. So my discontent of them goes back. But the fact that athletically he can do all this and sell it,
it's insane.
I don't know if you've ever met someone that you don't want to respect. I don't want to respect you. Yeah. I have nothing but respect for you. It's this weird, interesting feeling of hate I'm not used to.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
I can only imagine how much we would have rioted if Seth lost.
I do have this fear in the back of my mind regarding Logan Paul. If he gets re-signed by WWE, right, and he comes back out, I fear that he does not have the self-control to know when not to do a thing. And he's going to end up either breaking his neck or, God forbid, falling from the ceiling from some stunt and not being with us anymore.
No one would wish no one hard on him at all.
And right. Exactly. And I don't wish that, but that's the type of personality he has.
I saw somewhere that I did see somewhere.
There's an Icarus to it, right? I'm going to fly this close to the sun. I can do all these things. Look at how amazing I am. You're really high.
And you're going to end up
really high. If you fall from there, you're not going to make it.
I did see somewhere that he was resigning.
Yeah, that was the rumored report.
And only if his brother signs, though, which is even worse.
Listen,
I think his brother's getting ready for another boxing match.
Dealing with Logan is one thing. I can deal with Logan. Jake is a whole nother level.
If he comes in as the manager role,
no,
maybe
do a KSI appearance. Don't be signed I'm okay with that.
That KSI appearance was fucking hilarious.
That was one of the funniest as well.
I think what's frustrating, and what I'm trying is that Logan Paul got over. Yep. He's over.
I mean,
he got over. Look at all the talent over the years that never got over and did thousands and thousands of matches and never did anything. Logan Paul got over in what? 2 years?
What? 3 matches? Yeah, 3 matches.
2 years, 3 matches.
And Seth Rollins, who called him out on social media, right? Initially, in essence, the week after WrestleMania, ate crow because he tweeted or Instagrammed or whatever the hell it was, that if WWE doesn't re-sign Logan Paul, they're fucking stupid. You know, that's crazy.
Again, I don't like Logan Paul as a person, but I can't.
He
I have
makes
to
so
give
much
him
money.
his. I have to give him his flowers with the athletic ability and the fact that he was able to have a really good match where a lot of people who've been in this industry for a very long time have yet to even pull something like that out is insane.
If he wasn't good athletically, if he didn't somehow, if he wasn't natural and a prodigy at this, nothing would have come of this. And that's the danger. Is now they're going to see, because between Pat McAfee and him and a couple of the other guys have come in here as outsiders, who, I'll say this is an older wrestling thing. You look like you back like WrestleMania where Bam Bam fought LT, or a bunch of the celebrities where they didn't do the work to actually like sell their things. At least the celebrities coming in now are like, we are fans. We want to do the work. Bad Bunny being another of them, that will do the work to actually make these matches fun. It's nice to have that because you get the extra eyes on it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I wish you were a better person. I'm very sad that like these amazing workers
Without a doubt.
these amazing workers who can't like, don't have the charisma to do this stuff, can't figure things out. It's the only thing they've ever known, can't get ahead. All he had to do, he went out and had the charisma and did his own thing to make his own brand. And then he basically had the physical capabilities to do what these veterans are doing. That's kind of sad and saying, like, if you can't get that charisma aspect, it's really where the weight is in WWE. You need to be worthwhile to watch before you can actually do the moves.
Right. And WWE do what they were doing when they signed him, because regardless of what you think about his personality and all the stupid shit that Logan Paul has done, WWE is not stupid, because that man has amassed across all social media like millions and millions of followers. And especially since WWE wants to cater to the demographic of like 8 to 16-year-olds too.
Gotta love those 8-year-olds. They are the best.
Logan Paul has amassed a very young fan base, and if you put him on WWE, those fans are surely going to watch him there, drawing all these eyes. So WWE is not stupid. And again, hate the person, but this match was really well done. I loved
gotta
it.
know, we'll talk about it later. You know, the parent company that owns the UFC is now also the parent company for WWE. Logan Paul's energy drink
Prime
is partnered with the UFC.
That's the angle I was saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money tied up in there.
Yeah, Prime is. My 6th graders are all in love with it right now. It's just like,
it's not bad.
I mean, it's all,
but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I remember when vitamin water came out and that was 50 cents thing. Like, I was like, this is the next 50 cent like water flavor thing, majigger. But Seth versus Logan at the end of the day was a great match. I hate to admit it, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
What happens to Seth now? What does Seth do? Does this Paul feud keep going?
We could
have found out on Monday, but
he was supposed to cut a promo, but they cut it. So they just had to come out to hype the crowd out. You know,
we'll
they cut
talk
about
that.
So much shit for Monday.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything that went down or the lack thereof on the Raw after Mania. But
no, is Seth going to get drafted?
We'll talk
Tune
about
out
that
next week.
So
anyway.
After Seth versus Logan, we had Trish, Vita, and Becky taking on Damage Control.
Kurtul.
Io Shirai. Io Sky. I still want to call her Shirai. That's how I know her as. But Io Sky's ring gear was beautiful. I love the color scheme. And this is just a straight fact, but a lot of the Japanese wrestlers, they have like some of my favorite ring gear when they come out when they wrestle is so good. I was trying to figure out like where Dakota Kai got the lays from. I was just like, girl, why are we wearing this? Who gave it to you? I was like, did I miss something? Are you Polynesian? Are you Samoan? Like, what happened?
Well, she's from New Zealand for one, but
two, that makes sense.
Hey guys,
Nina gave it to her.
I'll be right back. There was an explosion outside.
Okay.
Hang on, and not a little careful. One. Hang on a second.
Breaking news live all over on the Bi-Conics podcast.
So I'm just looking it up here. So Tamina gave Dakota Kai the lays because Dakota is half Samoan.
Okay, I was like, I was just like, I mean, she's from New Zealand, so that would make sense if she was. But I was like,
But
okay,
her mother's from Samoa.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
There we go. Another Samoan wrestler that's not related to the same family. There we go.
It also explains why she does the headbutt and a bunch of other stuff with her kicks and stuff. Like
that actually explains a lot, and that makes me like her even more. But so, this match,
I thought this was a good match. I thought it had a lot of energy. Yeah, I thought it wasn't. Was it not as energetic as some of the other matches in night one? Yes, but was it a good did it have a good ebb and did it add to the ebb and flow of night one? Yes. And I might be alone in thinking this, but Liv Morgan can really sell those hits.
I think you're jumping ahead, Adolfo. That happened on night 2.
Was that night 2? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about
you're right. I'm sorry.
Trish, and Lita.
Becky, Yeah. Nope, you're right.
I will agree with you on Liv, but that's for night 2.
Well, when we get to night 2, we'll talk about it. But
I did enjoy that Trish had a throwback to her last WrestleMania one, but also was a Mountie, which I knew she was going to wear when she was up in Canada. So.
That ring gear that she was wearing, I loved it.
Their entrance was sick.
Yeah.
The Sin City entrance was so great. I was like, oh, you can't have this and have them not win.
So what blew up, John?
Nobody knows. I'm not crazy, and it sounded like a when something falls off a truck, that sound of like something like gaga, but it sort of shook the neighborhood just now. I'm out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, so it's a little bit of like, that's a specific sound that happens in this part of town. Okay. My son thinks it's a clock striking midnight.
At 9:20 on the East Coast.
So I'm gonna go with that.
He's an 8-year-old. It's 6:20 because John's a Californian like me.
You know what that was? What was it? It was a clock.
I mean, I'm trying to Google if anything's
the top
about it, but nothing's
like
there.
It's midnight? Yeah.
As long as your family is A-okay and safe, like that's the important part.
And John's feet cuts.
If I hear it a third time, then I'm gonna go. It's probably a T-Rex or something.
All right, so
oh, you clever.
So we're just starting our discussion on Trish, Lita, and Becky versus Damage Control.
14-year-old me was in love with all that.
That's why Adolfo, the match wasn't as high paced because you have two 45-year-old women wrestling in the match. They did great though.
They did great.
I mean,
well, and look, like you can even see the difference between Lita and Trish. Like Lita definitely must have taken more in her career than Trish did, because Trish was moving around like
Trish was great, dude.
Well, remember Lita shattered her neck.
Lita was showing.
Yeah.
Lita did in her career. She had a major neck injury and that's when she started.
I thought so. Yeah.
Dating Edge. But no. I got a little worried when they set both of them up for a Lita assault. I'm like, they're gonna try to get her over too. Holy shit.
Yeah, there was.
So was this the one where the ref
he was in the wrong place 3 times?
I was like,
yes. So they tried to end the match twice, and both times the ref was yelling at somebody else. I remember like, wait, I think that was it. And then they did it again.
Right. Like they whipped someone into the corner. He was nearly in the corner. He was under one of the moves too, nearly got clocked by somebody. Like he was out of position the entire, and not like kayfabe out of position. Like he was just out of position the entire match.
I was noticing that.
I mean, again, not to sound like that. To sound like a horrible person, but if I was in the ring with all of them, I'd be in the. You're Trish Stratus. Fuck, I'm messing up your match.
Okay, so we got to mention. We got to go back a little bit. The guy running the big screen for Mania,
he is
kept glitching out for the first 3 matches. So that's why when you watch the Seth Rollins Logan Paul match, there's a random dead spot, and you hear the crowd just randomly pop. Yep. That's because they finally fixed the screen.
The screen.
That's what we
heard. There's a lot of.
So I digress. I wanted to ask about this too. Simon Miller talked about it, and Wrestlemania talked about it.
Yeah, because
They
we
were
couldn't see the
booing.
screen
We
because
couldn't see the screen.
But like, so there's this take. We saw this on TV. I don't think we texted about it. We saw it on TV where Seth had a take to the camera and
Yeah.
off, sort of like, why are they booing? Are they really that mad at Paul? And there's just sort of like this good about 30 seconds of like, that's not booing. Like they're really mad.
yeah.
Something happened
Because they can't see
somewhere, and it
above
looks
them.
like
They
someone
can't see
tells
above
someone
them.
what happened.
Meanwhile, while you guys were hearing that
yeah.
on the stream, those of us in the arena, at that point, when you hear the booing, is because we're the nosebleeds, right? We're in the 500 section, so we're really high up. We can still see the ring, but it looked like you're playing with miniatures, like fighting each other in the ring. So
I'll send
for
a picture.
us, yeah, so they had the screen on top so we could see what was happening in ring, and is basically what you were seeing on the Peacock. It kept glitching out. So for like the first 3 matches, it kept glitching, and then halfway during Seth versus Logan, it just completely blacks out, and like we lost the visuals of what was going on in the ring because what was happening in the ring was like 10 seconds ahead of what was showing to you guys on television and like on the screen. So when you hear that booing, it's because at that point the screen had completely glitched, and for like 7 minutes we didn't have any visuals of what was going on with Seth versus Logan. And then when it came back on and everyone was cheering, is because they fixed the screen, but whoever's running the screen for night 1 is either got yelled at or probably got fired that day.
I also wonder if it was the same person that made the mistake in the video package that they played in the pre-show and then for Dom's entrance.
Oh my gosh, we'll talk about that. I was like, we'll talk about that in a little bit because that match is next. But
the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match,
where Sol Ruka was inside the costume.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Man,
God.
Oh
yeah.
Anyway, go. Talk about the screen.
So yeah, they fixed it by the time this women's match happened. But Trish Stratus, to see her do Stratisfaction live, like, is a beautiful thing. As a historian of women's wrestling, and I love me some women's wrestling,
women's wrestling.
Shut up. You can fuck right off.
All of our little mess up season. Jamie was on top of that shit.
Yeah, don't mess up women's wrestling.
That's okay. That's how he shows that he loves me, by taking me down a peg every time he gets a chance.
I gotta keep you honest, man. I gotta keep you honest.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. But the women's match was great. Damage Control once again takes a loss. What are we doing? What are we doing?
And then, so this is cart in front of the horse stuff.
No,
they disbanded.
No, they wrestled on Raw.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a little bit because that match wasn't even supposed to happen. But whatever.
Okay.
No.
All right, let's talk about the flub in Dom's entrance with this Auschwitz.
Well, it was even worse. So I didn't realize it was in the pre-show. So John, I'll say this. Simon Miller actually talked about this too. Basically, they showed the whole preview video they had before Dom got to comes into the arena on the pre-show, and there was this long shot of this like walkway and stuff like that to get into the prison, and they showed it again in the shortened version for him doing his entrance. And what was clocked by these people who run this museum was, hey, that stock footage shot at Auschwitz. And no one caught it in the edit or anything else. And it was a long piece. And they've cut it out from the subsequent broadcasts now on the network. But somebody got it past the edit originally. They found it probably in some software somewhere. They put it in, and whoever was double checking or triple checking this didn't understand that they pulled their stock footage.
Somebody got fired.
Somebody got fired.
Auschwitz.
And they obviously, like, WWE comes out like, we didn't realize that there was no way to connect that. We weren't meaning any disrespect toward it. Obviously, we wouldn't. When you're setting up Dom in this thing right before he comes out to a Cinnamon Toast Crunch entrance, but
with Sol Ruka in the costume
and the damn graphics at this blood feud. But yes, let's show footage of Auschwitz. because that's not going to ruffle any feathers.
Okay, so like that really perturbed me. But okay, so as one of the two people on this podcast that is melanated, right? Because I actually had this conversation with my mom when I came back too. Like, I get that it's the whole character thing and everything, but as I was watching Dom's entrance and him coming out in the prison van and all that stuff, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, I know this is a character and I know he's not really about that life, but my Mexican, Puerto Rican, brown person that I am inside, I was just like, this kind of feels icky. Like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It was extremely icky.
I was uncomfortable because I was just like, listen, we already have enough perpetual stereotypes. And I get that this is a character and he's not about that life. But him coming in handcuffs with, prison guards in a prison van, I was just like, I kind of feel icky about it.
And some of the domestic violence.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know how I don't feel like I'm not feeling really good right now.
Well, and on top of that, Mikey, you know what? The perfect thing to go with domestic violence, a brown man putting handcuffs, taping in, and also Auschwitz footage, the great taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
God. The dichotomy of those two things is ridiculous. And
you had so many. Make the freaking men's four-way the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. They're crunching
Seriously.
each other. They're breaking each other. Why did you make the blood feud between father and son with the ex-con stuff going on? Families, like he splashes his sister with her water, which could have been
that was unplanned, by the way.
Which was an unplanned spot. So when Aaliyah jumped the gate, that was for real. She was pissed.
Dominic, he said in an interview that he saw his sister with it and he goes, "Oh, what a dumbass! She brought a cup."
Yeah, because he's like, I got picked on and everything else when I was younger. She deserved that. But that's what he said about her. But I'm just sitting there going, you had so many other matches on the card. You could have made the stupid Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, and you made the blood feud the match with Cinnamon Toast Crunch everywhere on the LED boards, on the ring posts, the stupid graphics. Every time there was a replay, all the stupid neon colors. It was like, this was the plan.
Because
I was like,
it was because it's because Cinnamon Toast Crunch tastes like churros.
Oh my gosh. When you say it like that, Adolfo, that makes it 10 times worse. But yeah.
Listening to the crowd chant Culero at Dominic.
Oh my God, that shit was so funny.
They were chanting Culero at Dominic. Okay. It was one of the funniest things.
You guys probably didn't hear it on the TV screen, but we'll come back to Dominic and how I feel about the entrance in a little bit. But during the match, because we're in the heart, they say we're in Hollywood. Bitch, we're in Inglewood. Calm down. I was like, we are nowhere near Los Angeles, but doesn't matter. Southern California, you got a lot of melanated people, both brown and African-American, black. But the funniest shit was in the middle of this match, the whole arena started chanting Culero to Dominic Mysterio.
Culero.
Me and Uriel were fucking dying as soon as we heard it. And then once we explained to Evan what that meant in English, it was so hilarious.
I thought they were saying you're little. I didn't know what they were saying at first.
Little. He's taller than his dad.
But that's what I thought they were chanting to him because he kept flexing.
No, and then when we told Evan, it's like, no, they're saying culero, and we told him what it meant in English.
Oh, then I died. That was one of the funny. They did it on Raw too.
Yeah, they shouted culero too on Raw.
But I will say though, go ahead, Don.
I was just saying that's more specific than just asshole, right?
I mean, there's a couple of different interpretations, but it can be asshole. I know it's also slang for some other things that we're not going to say on this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's hysterical. Just wanted to confirm. Okay.
I mean, now that I know a little bit of backstory, but it's still my favorite match of the night because Ray is my childhood idol, and seeing him live in person made me shed a tear.
It was beautiful. Minnie cried.
How was it watching him scamper up those weird stairs to try to get up the big things to the side, though?
That was hilarious.
It was funny.
Okay. But him coming out to Snoop Dogg's G thing and then hearing Eddie Guerrero's theme.
Yep. Well, the LWO theme. It was the LWO theme. I mean, come on.
Which we'll talk about them in a little bit now that it's a thing again.
That was
and I'm
awesome.
happy.
And then seeing him shaking the hand with Sol Ruka. Fucking outfit.
I was sad that when he did his points, when he did the Hall of Fame the next night, he got the pyro when he did the points. He didn't get it like for the match.
No, he messed up the first one he did. The second one got fucked up. We noticed that one too. Like the pyro guys are gonna get fired.
The pyro guys on night one also got fired that night.
Like night one was really good. There's just like technical issues.
And then it was the opposite for night two. Technical issues were non-existent, but the wrestling itself was questionable.
The dude running the big screen for night two was fucking with us. He kept turning the thing on and off, on and off, on and off.
They did it on purpose.
Wait. Follow this thought process with me. Follow this thought process.
I'm following. Let's go.
Okay.
Conspiracy theory.
The dude that was running the Jumbotron on night one, and then the dude that was running the pyro on night one, the reason why they weren't paying attention and doing their jobs was because they were eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh my God.
Or if you want to take it further, they were doing their taxes with TurboTax.
Or having someone else do it.
While eating Cinnamon
People
Toast
are going to be
Crunch.
so confused until we explain what happened with that.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit because they did that on night one and night two before both main events.
No, night two wasn't as bad because they did something else before. They played the Pope's Exorcist.
Oh my God.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, but
oh my God, that match.
Why not do, this is just me and you can cut me off. You have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, or you can do a Pope's Exorcist. You can have an
so they played the Pope Exorcist ad before the Edge and Finn Balor Hell in a Cell match.
I like John's idea where you have the Pope's Exorcist exercise the Cinnamon Toast Crunch person.
Oh my gosh.
And out comes Sol Ruka.
See, if you're going to do theater, do theater.
I mean, her finisher is called the Soul Snatcher.
Take someone's take someone's snow.
Do that and have Bray Wyatt come out so we have Bray Wyatt appearance.
Oh my God, it would have been a whole mess. But one of the highlights
we'll turn on the black light and we'll hit each other with kendo sticks. It'll be great.
I mean, yeah.
Triple ad sponsored match.
The fact that Finn and Edge, their things were color coded in that match too was hilarious. But anyways, I think one of the highlights between the Rey and Dominic match was the fact that he whooped him like a Mexican parent with the belt. That shit was hilarious.
Funny as hell.
My buddy turned to me at that point and just goes like, "Oh, so DQs aren't a thing? Like, is this like not what's happening here?" I'm like, no, it's like the Super Bowl. They just let him play. Because who's going to stop this?
I mean, everyone knows that Dominic was being a little shit and he deserved to get his ass beat like an actual by his dad with the belt.
Also,
I turned to Evan. I was like, if he pulls out a chancla, this will be best match ever.
I was about to say, have Ray's wife toss a chancla from the fucking audience.
I mean, there's been enough photoshops of that already with him where he has the belt in the hand, but it's replaced with a chancla. It's really actually funny.
Okay,
I mean, shout out to the man sitting next to Dom Ray, like Ray's wife and daughter. That dude was he was pointing aggressively, yelling at Dominic. That man was into it, and he was like dabbing up the mom and the sister. It was
so good.
I'm pretty sure he's like the best friend of George Kittle too, because he was there for George Kittle's as well.
My mom lost her mind.
They put those people in the same spot that they have coming into the ring.
Yeah.
So he was standing in the same spot. So
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like if you're in the front row, you know somebody who knows.
Well, otherwise, you're $5,000
guy.
Ticket.
Green shirt guy was there both nights, and I was like, he's my hero. I really need to know what he does for a living. Like, how does he keep scoring like these front row seats?
Well, because those go for $5,000 a ticket per night.
I know.
Well, if you wanted to spend that night, they're about 12.
Yeah. And Minnie didn't win the sweepstakes to upgrade our seats.
Come on, Minnie.
Peacock was giving like a thing away where they would upgrade like 2 people for ringside seats, and Minnie entered, but we didn't win. And it was only on night 1 too. God. They didn't even do it for night 2. I was like, ugh.
For how I think the tickets were for both nights. But for how Uriel says it, Pete.
Oh my god. He was like a kid at the candy store, but I really enjoyed it. It was great.
It was hilarious.
That's great.
But honestly, go ahead.
My son was confused about the belt because my dad's from Ensenada, so my dad got yelled at in Spanish his whole life, and I was hit with the belt, and I deserved it, and I know I did. So I saw the belt go off, and I lost my mind. I was like, no, in the chair, all into it. My son's like, why?
Pete,
Respect to this pain.
Having non-flashbacks.
Why would you take your belt off? You don't understand.
I'm so glad you don't have to know why this is a thing. Be glad that you don't know this is a thing.
Exactly. Just be like, But I think everyone.
By the way,
I loved that moment.
Thank the gods I was the only one not having a PTSD moment.
Oh,
watching Ray beat Dominic with that belt, because I was right back to when my dad was beating me with the belt.
And there was that one, even to put more stress on it, that one time where you were too old for the belt, but you got it anyway. Like I felt that same, like, God damn it, no.
See,
shout out to the boy Little Bunny for this Little Bunny.
Little Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Yeah. The fact that I was like, this is perfect, because then what's happened on Monday Night Raw, and then what's pretty sure what I'm sure is gonna happen at Backlash, I was like, this sets it up perfectly. But I don't care what nobody says. Like, I love Bad Bunny. His music may not be for everyone, but the fact that this man still has one of my favorite celebrity matches within the last couple of years
with the Canadian Destroyer.
But that ending sequence where he takes the chain from Dominic, which is enough of a distraction for Ray to do what he needs to do to win. Yep. That match was really fun.
That was a good. Yeah, the whole match was good.
I also want to shout out to Dominic real quick, because he got a replica mask of what looked to be Rey Mysterio's Halloween Havoc mask. Was just, oh, you're such a little shit, but I love the details.
Well, I also love that he had Ray's, like the streaks on the inside, like the Phoenix stuff on the sides, and then he also had Eddie's design from Eddie's pants down his pants, and then Mommy on his ass.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It was, his outfit was good. His outfit was really good. I personally thought he should have worn that mask. I thought that would have been irony right there for him to wear that mask against his dad.
I think they're saving that for when they do the mask versus hair or whatever it's going to be, where he finally beats Ray, takes his mask from him. He's going to start wearing it and having not earned it, and keep himself being like a heat magnet for it.
That's a good, yeah. Oh, quick sidebar.
Yes.
Quick sidebar. Did we ever get an explanation as to why Rey Mysterio's masks have been kind of like janked up after Raw? I'm sorry, after WrestleMania.
Yeah, so his mask, from what I was hearing, originally was a tribute to Great Muta, so it was the helmet style.
Yeah, okay.
Also that he's been protecting his head after a bad fall. And the last injury he had, he's been, instead of having the back open mask when he takes the bumps, he's got basically a helmet on to help him.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ray's going to retire here like within the next year or two, honestly. Which, yes,
while he can still walk,
especially going back with his rivalries. Like, I mean, everyone has been bigger than him, but he's had rivalries with Batista, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, like you name it.
Right.
He's gotten thrown around a lot.
Well, in an interview, he said he wants to go until he's 50, and I think
Which I think, that match was really special, and I mean, I could say it because he's not here, but he'll be back. But Minnie crying during the entrance was me and him both. Like, we were both crying during Ray's entrance. And the fact that we got to hear Eddie's theme song too, which is the dagger entered further into my heart. I'm like, God, don't make me feel things at WrestleMania.
Right.
I'm just honestly surprised that they went with the convict entrance instead of getting Vicky Guerrero in a lowrider and playing Eddie's music.
Well, I mean, granted, with what's going on with that whole situation over there is...
But we didn't know that at WrestleMania.
That's a whole thing we can talk about for another episode. But Lord have mercy, things have escalated.
Yes, they have.
And I was just like, oh no. But watching Ray versus Dominic, like this little brown boy from Southern California cried a little bit during that match. And I was proud. I was like, this is what I need to see. I was like, oh my gosh, like there is people who look like me in the ring wrestling on WrestleMania. I'm just like,
sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I mean,
God damn it.
All right.
Why do you gotta have the toast match?
I mean,
why they gotta call you out for that?
Okay, let's get into this.
Racism as possible on it.
I mean, the entrance was kind of
It was anti-Semitic.
It was accidentally anti-Semitic.
Latino.
I was like, I know it's a character, but damn, that was like, I think that was really the only big downer point for night one for me personally. I was like, I feel very icky about this.
Well, yeah, I'm pulling back. It was very icky to watch, but at the same time, it's like, of course he would do that. He thinks he's hard. He was in jail for a night in kayfabe, and therefore he's an ex-con. So he'd pay for all that to happen. And all these local, like California wrestlers being these police officers coming in too, like you can see they're not completely on board with this, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we'll talk about this as we go forward, sure. But I think storyline wise, I think you've put Dom.
Yeah. A little. Yeah.
He deserves to be there. He's in timeout.
I'm not sure where do you go?
Mommy put him in a corner.
You don't have anywhere to go now.
We're gonna talk about Rhea next.
So Ripley's over. Ripley is up and over, and Ripley is gonna face someday, and it's over.
Until he beats Ray.
That is very true. Which, by the way,
but even then,
can I say last thing, and then we'll go on to the next match. But the week of WrestleMania, like the Raw and the SmackDown Go Home shows, I will say, like, this is just a little thing, and this is just a personal preference, but I love the fact that Dominic cut a promo in Spanish, and the fact I was like, that's right. WWE rarely lets people cut promos in their native language, like, and it actually be meaningful, because I know Asuka and Io had that segment where they talked shit about each other in Japanese, and that was really cool.
And then Finn just tried to speak English and didn't really work. I mean, there's just so much Irish brogue, you couldn't get past it.
Oh my gosh.
But Becky Lynch is unintelligible, as Vince said so many times. Sheamus, how can you understand him? Wade Barrett, my God, I can't. I mean, his commentary, I still don't know what's going on.
I mean, he's gotten better. But I'm used to Wade because, like, he was in NXT, and, you know, as the only person really who watches NXT, I got used to it. I miss that little trio of him and Beth and
Morrow.
Morrow. Nigel McGuinness is in Ring of Honor and AEW now. That's a trip as a commentator.
But so you were saying one last thing about that match, though.
Yeah, I really love
being able to do it.
I love the fact that Dom was cut a promo in Spanish, and then he continued to do so on the SmackDown after Mania 2, and I was just like, see, I'm like, most of America won't get it, but I appreciate it as somebody who is bilingual to see somebody cut a promo in Spanish and for me to understand it and be like, this is what we call, it's not a lot, but I call it progress.
I don't think it's enough to just throw a segment to the Spanish.
Well, no,
there was only one match where the Spanish annauncer table got ruined, so I was just like,
There was going to be a second, and then they faked it out.
There was, but it didn't happen. It didn't.
Would have loved to see more. I totally agree with you. If you're gonna go, and this is again, I hate doing this tease thing, but with the merger and all the shit that's in the room now, if you don't play that international card in any way,
totally,
you're doomed.
Yeah, they're doomed.
And they won't, because they're greedy and their money. You know, they're not going to. But that's their only.
International
like, hey, you need to
the country of Saudi Arabia, which will be interesting to see how that progresses with the new merger.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll talk about that later. Once we get through WrestleMania, we'll talk about that, because we got 2 pay-per-views for WWE in May, and one of them is coming from Saudi Arabia, so we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
This next match, though, Dave Meltzer can eat a dick. It should be 5 stars, not 4.75. But Rhea versus Charlotte was the match of the night for me on night 1. Fight me.
I'm going to fight you right here because I think Dave's rating is right on the. I think Dave's rating is right on the ball because yes, once it got going, the match was amazing. And literally it's when they do the spike DDT, which is one of Rhea's best selling things she does, from then on was perfect. But having to get Charlotte into gear in those first 18 to 20 minutes of that match and having her not know what the hell to do and the crowd not behind her and not letting Rhea sell anything babyface, it literally couldn't get going. So it's not a 5-star match because they couldn't capitalize from minute 1. Charlotte the entire time didn't want to be there, didn't want to do what she was doing. And you could tell at the end, she was forced to pay respect to Rhea by laughing at the side. It didn't make sense. There was no passion behind what Charlotte did until they did that spot with the DDT. And then Charlotte's like, okay, we're in the go home stretch. I'm going to give it my all for the last 5 minutes. And that's why I'm pissed at it, because it's a great match. Technically, it looks interesting from then on. And they did tell a bit of a story, but it didn't feel like both participants wanted to be there and actually work at it, whereas Rhea was trying to carry the damn thing on her back. So, no, Mikey. Dave's actually giving it more credit than it's worth, unfortunately.
That is very fair. And I appreciate your honesty. And that's why I love this podcast, because we can be friends. But
come on, come back. Let's go. John's rolling his sleeves up. I don't know what's going here.
I am on Mikey's side, quote unquote. On Mikey's side, but I don't know, the match that I saw, in my opinion, with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, I think that was the best match of the night. I thought there was a lot of great emotion. I thought there was a lot of great acting. I'm now interested. I want to, having heard what you said, JVL, I want to actually rewatch that match now and see if I can pick that up, because initially when I watched that match, maybe it was because Rhea Ripley was carrying it, or maybe for whatever the case may be, I was pulled into that match, and Alice was pulled into that match as well. I personally think that was even though the main event was the tag team championship, I thought that was the climactic a match, and I'm not downgrading the tag team championship match or any of the other matches, because like I said before, it's like, because when you tell a good story, you have your rising as you fall action, rising fall, and this was a great pinnacle to a rise action, and then like
it built,
just,
yeah,
it built. So that's that.
My thing also, that I want to clarify on it quickly is that the whole thing with Charlotte at the beginning for me was that I think she was thrown mostly because she got hit in the face so hard that she was bleeding from the mouth from the beginning of the match, and she wasn't set for that. And there was definitely a receipt given back to Rhea for that at some point. But I think her head wasn't in it until she finally got her head around what was going on.
Yeah. I remember seeing her just smack flat.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, audio podcast land, Take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.